Welcome back. Hope your afternoon's going swimmingly well. Great to have your company today. And good news, really. The average house bill is set to fall by more than £400 in July after Ofgem announced a drop in the price cap. But there are warnings that households will still be paying almost double the rate for their gas and electricity than before costs soared last year. Joining me now is Jonathan Bean from Fuel Poverty Action and Angela Knight, former CEO of Energy UK. Good to have both of you on the programme. Good to see you. Let's start with you, Angela. So this is essentially good news, although maybe not as dramatically transformative as we were hoping.
Well, it is actually pretty good because not only, as you rightly say, as the energy prices come down, but it looks like they're going to stay at this sort of level for some time ahead. Because right now, of course, various things have changed in the world economy, which is helpful. We've also got rather better at buying our gas and our electricity ahead. And the net result of all that is, yes, people are paying more than before the pandemic, but nevertheless, they are actually paying a lot less than those horrid peaks we saw just a few months ago.
I mean, the figures I've got in front of me are that the typical household energy bill will fall to £2,074 a year from July, which is a drop of £426. And but the cap replaces the price guarantee. So let me bring Jonathan Bean in on this one. Jonathan, I mean, the prices are coming down by about £400 odd. £400 makes a great difference to lots of families, but maybe not all the difference. So what are you thinking about this?
Well, the reality is that £400 saving is a bit of a fiction because we've all lost the £400 rebate that we were given. So that wipes that out immediately. So we're essentially back at the same price as we were. And I've got to say, I don't agree that people will be happy that prices are staying high because we're effectively paying double what we were paying in 2020. Now that's £1,000 roughly per household, which for a lot of households means misery. They just can't afford another £1,000.
Tell me a little bit about the people that you've been working with at Fuel Poverty Action, just to paint a picture for us of the sorts of problems and privations that are going on. I mean, this phrase heating or eating has become so kind of often used. It seems to trip off the tongue, I think, without people really imagining what it means and how it feels and what it's like. So maybe you can explain a little. You don't have to say who the families are, but a little bit about what it's been like.
Yeah, well, obviously during the winter, people have really been struggling with heating. In some cases, heating is actually a lot more expensive than this average people talk about because, for example, if you're in an electric-only home, for example, with storage heaters or with the instant heaters, electricity pricing is 3 to 4 times more than gas. So those people particularly are struggling to even turn their heaters on. In many cases, they're not. In a lot of cases, people aren't switching on their hot water because that's too expensive. So they're not able to even take a warm shower. And even turning the cooker on becomes a luxury. So, I mean, it's just a crazy situation in a country like ours that people literally are freezing. There's issues with health because that makes asthma, mold issues get worse. People unable to wash, a nurse after a long day can't take a warm shower. I mean, this is just madness.
Angela, does this mean now that people will be able to shop around and try to find different providers, or is the situation that it's almost not worth it because you're going to get very little traction on price?
Well, I think the answer is it's probably not going to be worth it. There might be a bit, but I wouldn't rely on it. And I would like to pick up a couple of things that Jonathan said, because I entirely agree with him that we do have a lot of households in this country who are on electricity only. They're in poorly insulated properties, and indeed they're on low incomes. And I'm one who says, look, there is a real issue here which we should address by what I would refer to as a social tariff. That is a special tariff for those who are in difficulties. I also think that we should spend more money on insulating, particularly in poorly built and poorly insulated homes. And at the same time, I think we need to have a real consideration about the extras that are added on to your energy bill, as there's extras, the wires and the pipes that get it to your homes, that get it to businesses, but also the additions that are put on to help pay for the the new wind farms and other of the green energy systems that we're creating. So whilst, yes, bringing down the price right now, and I'm glad to see that it's happened on the wholesale market, and it's likely to, as I said earlier, stay low for now for some considerable period of time, we shouldn't take our eye off the ball of also doing something for the poor ends of society and that very big issue of insulation. Let's do it all, not just one bit.
And Jonathan, what about the issue of insulation?
Well, I'm glad to actually agree on something. Insulation is a very important priority if it's done right. I mean, there have been problems with insulation in the past in terms of fireproofing and toxicity, so it's really important that we get that done right. But if done right, insulation will definitely help. Just in terms of the other elements that were mentioned, so for example, social tariff, our big concern with that is that what that does essentially is to say that, okay, this crazy doubling of pricing is fine, we'll let that continue, and then for a small group of people, we'll give them a lower price. Now, what that means is that a lot of people will really be struggling. We should not accept the doubling of price. In fact, if you look at, I was looking at National Grid earlier, the average price of producing of electricity earlier was about 5.3p. Now we're talking about a lower price of 30p going to consumers. That's an insane gap. And part of the issue is that, you know, we can now produce renewables at pretty cheap cost, but our energy market has a massive dysfunction in it, which ties pricing to gas prices. So the market needs radical reform so that actually we can offer consumers reasonable pricing. And we could actually afford to give people free energy for the basics because green energy is now cheap, but our market structure means that the billions go to big energy firms instead.